Okay, we're holding now is hey. So the Rebbe says like this. Al Pisa Yishleimar as the time was largely zerteilt because of the Bedin Yonu Beishas Adman Teda Mitzvah Shnestav B'Mara. We asked yesterday that why does Rashi, if he's telling us that Moshe Rabbeinu wrote from Bereishis to Mantir and Mitzvah Shnestav B'Mara, so why does Rashi say Mitzvah Shnestav B'Mara? Why not just say Bereishis Adman Teda and Mara? So the Rebbe says. The Rebbe says like this: is val da zijn twee ifane ksiva, because there is two types of writings. Aleph Bereishis Mantir, the Sipur Hamurois Chuli from Bereishis Oilam is the Zman from Mantir. So you have regarding the section from Bereishis until Mantir, which is the story of all the events from the creation of the world until Mantir. Hazir Reiv Arubam Moshe da Farstibim Besignen with Surah V Zizanu Ksuvim Mater Lefanino. So Moshe wrote most of this in the style and format as they appear in the Torah that we have. The Likkutei Sichos for Vazel or Mishana side. The Mashmak Tzas from Lashon Rashi Gufa Mibereishis Alman Teda. Midas doesn't get it in Ksibas Parshi Shaltera. So also, like the Rebbe says in the brackets, what basis is there to say that Moshe changed, and why would he have changed it? Also, Rashi's words imply from Bereishis until Mantir. So this action had the halachic status of writing the section of the Torah. That's one pshat. That's one style of writing. And then because of mitzvah shenestav b'mara, was thus zayin the mitzvahs for the Shabbos, kovid Abba Ve'ima, Abba Ve'im, or Abba Ve'im, Paraduma V'dinin, Hadadach Nitki Ken Shraim Aduma by Paraduma Zizchukas Hatera, or Satam Isam Elazar Ken Ve'id. So the Stabras Meisha was the Verstibben nicht bei Ifn Venusach, wie sie sagen, später Verstibben geworden, als Parshas Shalter, nor by Ifn was Gita raised them Teichem in Hamitzes. Hoshar Rashi, because of mitzvahs, does not give in, Gedrik Sivas Parshas Shalter, and then you also had the way he transcribed the mitzvahs that were commanded in Mara, which refers to Shabbos, honoring parents, Paraduma. So regarding these mitzvahs, he did not write as they appear in the Torah. For example, let's say regarding the Paraduma, the Torah says, this is the halachas of Torah. You shall give it to Eliezer the Kohen. So Moshe wrote them not in the style and in the manner in which they would later be written in the Torah, as sections of the Torah. Rather, he wrote them in a manner that expresses the mitzvah. He transcribed the mitzvahs. So this writing did not have the status of the sections of the Torah. Rather, it had the halachic status of transcribing the mitzvahs. Und auch darauf says, der Unterschied sie der Vayichte Moshe is gewähnt Farman Torah, oder wird die Torah says he's gewähnt Lachman Torah. Also, this is the same line, the difference whether Moshe wrote before Man Torah, or according to some opinions after. The Mantir is given zwei Yanim. Parshas Mantir and Mitzvah Shnestav B'Mara. So before Mantir you had the mitzvahs, you had Mantir sections, and before Mantir you had Torah sections, and then you had the commandments in Mara. And there were two different Yanim. So the way that Moshe wrote also was two styles of writing, like we just explained. Ksivas Parshas Shalter, Ksivas Mitzvah Shenestav B'Mara, Litvis Yizan Achillah from Parshas Shalter. You have the way that Moshe Rabbeinu wrote the Parshas Shalter, and then you have the Mitzvahs Shenestav B'Mara, not as a Achillah, not as Ksivas Mitzvah. I'm sorry, Ksivas Mitzvah Shenestav B'Mara, Litvis Yizan Achillah from Parshas Shalter, not the way that they are part of the section of Torah. Nachman Torah Ober is the Tog Kain, Tam zu machen Achillah, aber ich denke als alles in selben Leifen. Euch die Mitzvahs Mishpatim sind gestimmt geworden, dass Moshe als Parshas Torah kann halten Mitzvahs. After Man Torah, there's no reason to differentiate. He wrote all in the same way. Even the Mitzvahs Mishpatim were written by Moshe as sections of the Torah containing Mitzvahs. Love the Mitzvah verstanden der Tam, was kundig zum Pasuk, weil ich Sefer Bris, der Frashman Mafar sein, was the Sefer Bris is. Now that we can explain, we can understand, when Rashi comes to the Pasuk, he took the book of the Bris, he had to explain what comprised of the book. So we asked before, why does Rashi have to say this? In Sefer Shidin Gidrik Siver, Dashti Sefer Bris Doshni Yachid, since we just learned, Moshe wrote two different things in two different styles of writing, and here it says Sefer HaBris. It says the Book of Covenant in a singular sense. Frashman Farzai as the Sefer HaBris, Bashtet, the Zelmut Sefer Shidin Yanim. So now Rashi is telling us a big chiddush, and this Sefer HaBris was comprised of these two Yanim, Mibreshis Vamantir, and Mitzvah Shestav B'Mara. Mit dem wird euch Areis gebracht, as der Bris mit Yidin is given a fading Yanim. This is pointing this out. Rashi wants to tell us that the covenant with the Yidden included both cases, both Aleph, Eif Teda V'Limuda, was das is given durch ein Schreiben, V'Rishis Vaman Teda, Pashas Teda. He had the Torah and the Torah study in general by writing sections of Torah from Bereshis and Matan Torah. And based of Kiyam Mitzvahs, durch Ksibas and Mitzvahs, and Stav Mamar. Then you have them fulfilling the Mitzvahs, running the Mitzvahs that were the commandment tomorrow. Und auf dieser Yimtag, was nach dem, wie Moshe Rabbeinu hat gelehnt, dem Sefer HaBris Bosniam, haben die Yidden gesagt, Kol asher diber Hashem nasa v'lishma. Now we can understand, after Moshe read the book of the Bris in the ears of the nation, the Yidden said that everything Hashem has said, we will do and we will listen. Nasa, what does that mean, we will do? So first of all, we're going to do a sentence during the mitzvahs that were commanded in Mara. Vos had geleit, that Moshe read to them. Nishma, what does it mean? We will listen. So we will listen. That refers to the sections from Bereshis to Matan Torah. Das is given the Achanu Akdam B'Tzalim LaTorah. The Kibbutz Mitzvahs was Yidden haben sich Mekabel given Mekabel Lahaba. This all was a preparation, an introduction to learning Torah Mitzvahs, observing that the Jewish people accepted upon themselves. And then on, durch der Kabbalah's gefühle Beifin shall Bris, by the twofold acceptance and the manner of a covenant, something that Gevarin wrote to a Kabbal Zayn the Torah. So they were now worthy to receive the Torah. Zayn. From the Inyanim Muflaim Shem Pinish Rashi Zeh. So we know that Rashi also has Inyanim Muflaim, wondrous things in what he's saying. So the number says like this: in Gemara is da machlekes zwischen Rav Yechanan and Rish Lakish. Tzitera Megillah Nitna. Now, Gemara says a machlekes. So Gemara in Gittin. So the Gemara brings a machlekes to the Beis of Rish Lakish. Was the Torah given scroll by scroll, or Tzitera Megillah Nitna? Shneimra Parsha L'Meishah Yekesvei. Rashi. Other Terach Surah Nitna. Lenichtava safe mem la'achar shneimru kol aparshis kulan. I never slid Mishana Yeshena Ushnia Isturis le'alpan. Achakosvan Rashi. Now, what's the machlekes to the Beichin and Rish Lakish? Was the Torah given scroll by scroll, as Rashi explains, after a section was conveyed to Moshe, he would write it down. And at the end of 40 years, when all the sections were completed, Moshe bound them together with the Gideon, and he sewed them together, made a Torah. Or was the Torah given as a complete book? Like Rashi explains, the Torah was written only at the end of 40 years, after all the sections had been conveyed. And those sections that had been conveyed to him in the first and second year, he remembered by heart until he wrote them down. That's the machlekes between Rabbi Yechanan and Rish Lakish. Stelt of Teisus of the Madamar was halb Torah Chesummen Nitna. Well, Frag, so Teisus quotes the opinion who maintains that Torah was given as a complete book. And he asks, well, Frag, Teisus asks, Tema, Ksiva Yikach Sefer Bris, Vayikra Bosniam, Pirish Rashi, Pirish Chumash, Ainu Bereshis Vadkan. So Teisus quotes the opinion that says that Torah was given as a complete book and asks, this is astonishing. Because it says in the Torah, he took the book of the Bris and read it in the ears of the nation. And Rashi says in his commentary, from Bereshis until now. So how can you say that the Torah was only written after 40 years? We see clearly over here. It just says, the pasuk says, "V'yikach sefer bris v'yikach maznei." Rashi clearly says, "It's Bereshis told here." We'll find answer it, and therefore Tesis answers and says, "V'nir lefarish the leikomer chsum nitna shlei nichtava ad lebesayif." Allah say the nichtava. The ish parsha shnemer tchila lefnei eisa maksum lefneim. The nichtava shnemer lai eisa sheksuva lefanei. But Tesis says, Tesis answers and says like this. Perhaps he can answer that the opinion that says that the Torah was given as a complete book does not mean that the Torah was not written down until the end of the 40 years. Rather, it was written in order. For some sections were said first, before the sections were written before them. But these sections were only written after the earlier one was said and written. And then the following section was written. The Maharal is Masber. So the Maharal explains, as Pirish Rashi Parsha Sin is not bestitted to Adam Tenech Sumanit, no? Das Rashi Pirish Lashas, as das meant, the Nichtavat Seif Mem, but das is given Tzerech Mitzvah. And the number is Ein Zen Sinas Torah Nefshem Barak Likkutei Sichos. So the Maharal explains that Rashi's opinion in our parsha doesn't contradict the opinion of the Gemara who holds that the Torah was given in a complete book, even according to the way, the Rashi explained in Shas, the Torah was not written until the end of the 40 years, because the writing of the Bris was for the sake of knowing how to perform the mitzvah. Therefore, this was not considered to be a part of the giving of the Torah. Rather, it was considered a part of forging or making the covenant. So, Pisa Yimtak, Anal Yimtak, from Himayes, as Exim Bereshis and Manter is given, or if you Exim from Bereshis Atera. Now, even though that the section, that Moshe wrote the sections from Bereshis to Mount Torah, the manner of writing the sections of the Torah, again, as the information of Mount Torah is given, but if you next see from Parshas HaTorah, so even though Moshe wrote the sections from Bereshis until Mount Torah, the manner of writing sections of the Torah, so some far didn't get it from Ksivas Parshas HaTorah. Nevertheless, it's still not, it doesn't have the actual halachic status of written sections of the Torah. It's nor a tell from Sefer Bris. It's part of the book of the covenant. So the iron halt the mitzvah should stop in Mara, which had the mitzvah that they recommended in Mara. Their Schreiben ist das gewähren in ganzen Adrisch von der Ksivim Bereshis HaTorah und die beide Sugi Ksivim haben doch zusammengestellt in Sefer Torah. And these mitzvahs were written in an entirely different format than the way the sections of the Torah were written. And these two formats of writing together comprise one book of the covenant. Thus was Tesis Frek from the Pirish Rashi. The question raised by Tesis based on the explanation can be explained as follows. The Tesis. The Parshas of Sumeshal, Gishtim Revelation of Manter, Zanit, Nit, Andrish, Pitsunational Shannon, and the Parshas of Sulaj, Lacharis of Potato. That he says like this. The section that Moshe wrote from Bereshis until Mount Torah were no way different from the sections written afterwards in Torah. In other words, they didn't appear different in their wording and the way they looked. So Afal as Moshe in Sefer Bris to say Mitzaref given euch die Mitzvah Stabel as seinen Gestimmen geworden nicht wie Parshas HaTorah, so man nicht mevatel oder gehen von dem, was die Parshas mit Bereshis und Mount Torah sind an England von Ksivas Parshas HaTorah. Now, so he says that although Moshe also combined the mitzvahs that were commanded in Mara together with what was written in the Sefer Bris, and these mitzvahs were not written in the style of section of Torah, it doesn't mean or lessen the fact that the sections from Bereshis until Mount Torah had the same character as the writing of the sections of the Torah. Pisa Yimdak was Tesis is matik from the Rashi with Bereshis Vatkan the one nitum siyum from the Rashi mitzvahs should establish more. Now we can appreciate why Tesis doesn't even speak about mitzvah should establish more. Like Simim's mitzvah should establish more. At King China's nit lashak Italian Tesis. Because the whole thing of the commandments of murder is irrelevant to Tesis' discussion. Kasha is nor from Ksivas, we Bereshis from Mount Torah. This is Ageda from Ksivas Parshas HaTorah. This question raised by Tesis is only from Bereshis until here, which was written in the format class of sections of Torah. Thus Rashi's over. Sibal Beidin Yoni Sibazani Givar in Sifar Bris. Rashi, however, says that both types of writings were included in one book of covenant. I feel the Parshas Mudich Levanter is an Italian for Sibas Parsha Shotera, or Indian for Sefer Bris. So the covenant, even the sections from Bereshis until Mount Torah, are not regarded as written in Torah sections. Instead, they all comprise the book of Bris. Okay, we have one more paragraph. Let's try to do this. Okay. Ches. The initial term is this from Chassidus, you could explain. Alphabet is called singing of Bris is their kishur v'skaberstish divas and kayest and Bris. Covenant, the general, entails connection and unifying the parties entering the covenant. In our case, it's the Yidden being connected to the Yidden. Hashem being connected to the Yidden. Is our bardah chilik and temptation and Bris. Their Bris is gemacht geworden auf dem Manter, the after There's a big difference between if the covenant was made before or after Manter. Bis Manter is given example to Yidden the Tachtin. So we know before Manter, the upper realms, the lower realms couldn't connect as the Bris from Manter is nach als gewen from mit dem Garin nicht in der Chefza. So comes out that any Bris that you had before Manter was with the man, not with the actual Chefza. Es hat sich Tage aufgetan durch Terra Mitzvahs, auf dem Manter, an Aliyah und Achim mit dem Eberstein. Das ist aber gemeint, even from Manter. Yes, so it did make an Aliyah and it did do something. Das ist aber gemeint, but it was before Manter. Nicht erreicht von jeder Tachte Nivra. It did not go out from the actual Nivra. In other words, the person can never escape the constraints of being a Nivra. Shaking like the days as their Bris is given. However, if you say that according to the opinions that hold that the covenant was forged after Manteda, noch an Aleph, Bitlag Zerabania Maskle Simis with the Kiddush Rani Nafrik, so obviously, the Eberstadt sich allein Kivyocha reingegeben, and that's Sech Tamid in Lenetzach, Tamid in Teda. So first of all, after Mantera, we know the decree was nulled. Hashem declared, "I'll be first to ascend," and also the new reality. And Hashem placed myself into the Torah that I'm given. Hashem saw the Sichs placed himself in the Torah forever. So if moving as these after from the Torah, so we can also appreciate that the unity with the Torah through a covenant, an absolute and complete elevation, a complete departure from the boundaries of created beings. Says Abradal, Ila in the day of Das Rashi, as their Bris is given for Mantra. However, there's still a superior quality to the view of Rashi that the Bris occur before Mantra. And he says, I think I demot far Mantra Shuman Anuvim Tfosim with Pinas Atena Vizi is out coming to Nivran for Mantra or in Pinas Sadikush and Mushakayada. Because even at the time before Mantra, the Jewish people were tied, connected, and bound with the Torah as it descended to created beings before Mount Torah, and with the godliness drawn down through Torah. It's moving as noch azachana is der Sichah qualities in the room, and Mount Torah given, noch mehr Bestimmung zu mir sein, sie given, mit Zad Madrigosim, Rome, Kampel sein, Torah Shalom, in the room. So, we can appreciate how after this kind of preparation, the purification and elevation of the created being at the time of Mount Torah was so much more complete. And as a result, even from the perspective of the spiritual standings, they were ready to receive the Torah, which is inherently beyond the boundaries of any created being. Shaking like the idea says the Bris is given. However, according to the opinion that the covenant was entered after Mount Torah, however, before Mount Torah, the Yidden had been entirely beyond the Jewish people's spiritual standings and focus, and the giving of the Torah was primarily prompted by Hashem. Presentation of the Chilik Canal. As the last Rashi is on them, the Yichter and the Bris given Svein Yom Torah, which is like the other of this is just ein inyan. Now, on this basis, we can explain the difference above. According to Rashi, Moshe wrote that the covenant included two elements, Torah mitzvahs, and according to other opinions, it was one entity, a part of Torah. Besides getting Ephraim, Herzich is chalkas from Torah mitzvahs, and Mela ich in der Kabbalah von Yidden Nasa Bezundra, Nishma Bezundra. The distinction between Torah mitzvahs from the perspective of created being, as a result, when the Jewish people accepted the Torah, they declared we will do and we will listen separately. However, from the perspective of Hashem, there's no such a thing as distinction. Punkt with the Ebershter is achtas abshuta zeh zogt zif oya reis eichin teda vizis mitzadabayla als in infantera. So just as Hashem is absolutely simple oneness, the same quality is also expressed in the Torah, as it's from the perspective of above. It all comprises the singularity of Torah. Have a good day.